So now that I've built my timeline, I can scrub through it and make sure all my pictures are there and in order. I don't need to have this expanded anymore, but I can only see my pictures. That's because I'm down in the folder My Favorite Assets. So I'm going to use this little button here to jump out of that folder and maybe go back to my list view and collapse that folder. So now I'm ready to find what I call the magic number. The magic number is going to be the scale at which this image covers the screen but is as small as possible. We do that by selecting the image, and we need to go to the Effect Controls. Effect Controls gives us the control over the image. This is where all the magic happens. And now this doesn't need to be as big. So I'm going to bring that window down so my preview is a little bit larger. I'm going to select Motion up here, and then I've got to scale it down. Now this is at 100%. You're not allowed to go over 100%, and that's a tricky thing, but we need to find the scale for this one. I'm going to press the since my focus is up here, the home key on that keyboard is the same as dragging it to the very first frame of that picture. I'm going to click on the blue number and drag slowly to the left, and you can see when I've gone too far. So for me, this is a 50 scale, so 50% of what it was before, and that's kind of the magic number of how small it can get without showing any red. And that's our first step, is to go through and do that for each of these images. Now it's okay to expand the scale and use this slider. It makes it a little easier than Control. Now being able to click on a number and drag to the right and left is an important skill. And once you've done it a few times, it'll become more natural. But at first, it may be easier to find that this number is 44.4. Well, I still see a little bit of red. I'm going to go to 45. And you can click on it and type in a number as well. Let me just do the rest of these. I'll go ahead and expand and scale this down. And don't worry about where it is on the screen. You may have some that are really tricky to do. Now, we're not going to scale these down. These are exactly 1920 by 1080, so as soon as we move them, there's red. I'm going to zoom out a little bit by clicking on the N and dragging, so I can easily click, go to the beginning, scale this down, but not too far, and do each of these. Now, if I try to drag this one, I'm making changes, but nothing's happening. That's because my current time indicator is showing the first frame of the octopus, but I'm changing this one over here, and I went to 603%. That's a common error that you really need to make sure not to do. We need to stay less than 100 and just scale it down as far as it'll go. Fit as much as you can. Click on the next one and find that number. Don't worry about what part of the picture is visible. We'll be changing that with position and scale here shortly, the position X and Y. But right now, just everything needs to be scaled down. One more, and scale it down, bring it back. There we go. So each one of these now shows as much as it can as we go through.